Hey Susan, how's it going?
Oh, hey Eric, good. How are you?
Good, good. So we took that EQ assessment last week. I just kind of wanted to bring you in here today and just kind of see what your thoughts are about it.
Yeah, about that. Not very happy with my score, I don't think.
Why is that?
Well, because according to the scores, I need help with the self-awareness
Okay,
EQ side of it.
okay,
I'm not real strong with that, I guess. It was the lowest score. I
okay,
was surprised to see that.
okay. So in your eyes, what do you see the self-assessment part as? If you had to put that in your own words, what does that mean to you?
I would think, in my own words, doing that is just trying to develop myself in order to do the best that I can in projecting myself, I guess.
Okay,
I mean, that doesn't seem quite right to me, though.
okay. So you don't necessarily feel comfortable bragging about yourself. You like to stay humble and all
Yeah,
that. Okay, okay.
I guess it's kind of the way I was raised.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Sure.
We both have the
No.
same understanding of what self-awareness is, and we can keep moving forward with it. So.
Okay, but you agree that that's what it is?
I mean, according to the test, that's what it, obviously that was one of your lower scores.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go with the test. And a lot of smart people built that test. So if anything, what I've always learned with these tests is that you can always take it with a grain of salt and try to improve something from
Okay.
it. So that's what we can do today is just kind of go through and see if there's anything that we can try to find to help maybe work on some of those self-assessment skills. So that way, if we decide to ever do this again as a group, we can maybe that score will increase a little bit.
I like that. Okay.
Perfect. So yeah, so let's find some areas for you. So you said you can't really brag about yourself. Why is that?
I guess I'm not really good at reading my own emotions. I mean, I usually try to fit in with the group, and whatever they think about something, I tend to go along with it. If they're all, yeah, this is bad, and then, yeah, okay, I see it could be bad. When I don't have a direct, let me disagree with you on that and tell you how I really feel.
Okay.
So.
Is that kind of more in like bigger group settings, or is that more kind of like one-on-one?
Unfortunately, I think that's both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I tend to see myself as able to get along with everybody, and that's always been my thing growing up is I had to make everybody happy.
Okay.
And so because of that, then I don't feel I have the ability to give my own opinion about things.
Okay. So we obviously need to find a way for you to become better at voicing your opinion. Is that kind of what you're really wanting today? Is that skill?
Yeah, how to be assertive and
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So for you, what would be a goal? Like for you to become more assertive, how would we measure that?
I guess if I have a true opinion about something, as long as I'm tactful, of course, don't be afraid to share it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I don't know how I would use that in a daily situation, but that's some way that I could start.
Okay. Would you rather try to improve that in more of like a group setting or more work on your one-on-one first?
I'd probably be too afraid to do it in a group setting, but
So maybe more of like a one-on-one kind of
'cause
deal. Okay.
if I was in a group, I wouldn't want to offend anybody.
Okay.
That's a big thing. I don't want to offend anybody.
Okay. I mean, we got to start somewhere.
Right.
Exactly. So, so I say for you, let's look into, maybe like these one-on-one meetings that we have. Every meeting, you try to challenge me on something. Doesn't matter what it is, but and it could be about why is the sky blue? Anything.
Okay.
How's that feel? What do you think about that?
I don't know, because I think, factual stuff like that, why is the sky blue and things like that are good, but it's just, the convoluted ideas, and I don't want to talk about politics or religion because that's always been the taboo subject. You don't talk about that, but like abortion,
Okay.
That's a terrible topic.
So you'd rather keep it work-related topics that we discuss, or?
Probably so I could practice it for when I do have to be in a work situation.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. So my suggestion is that every time you have a one-on-one, that you come with one topic that you try to challenge. It could be something about the database. It could be something that happened with a relationship with a coworker. Just try to be more assertive with the topic, and then just every meeting, just try to do one.
Okay.
I think doing that, you'll help yourself as far as just being assertive. And obviously, this is a very safe zone that,
Right.
but
Which I
think
appreciate.
just building those skills of just voicing your opinion. Obviously, we can just do it here one-on-one, hoping that someday that you would feel comfortable enough to challenge maybe in like a group setting. I think would be a good goal for you. But I think for now, we just work on you and I.
Okay.
Just between us, just keep moving it forward. Then when you do feel comfortable, then we can start working on like a group setting kind of
Okay.
challenge. So for us to do this though, what barriers do you see? As far as to start the one-on-one debating, what barriers do you see coming in that?
Well, again, I would want you to know that I don't mean any disrespect. And so I'd have to preface everything with that, so
Okay.
you know that that's not the case. And I guess trying to make myself feel comfortable in saying what I really feel, because for so long I've just been holding it back and just going with the group.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to break that.
It is a very uncomfortable feeling. Although, yeah, I've been there. I get that.
Okay, cool.
Just kind of one saying that maybe you could write down that will always just something to always keep in your mind. Maybe put it, on a sticky note or something. When you get out of your comfort zone, that's where the magic happens. That's when you grow as a person. So to be able to be in that uncomfortable situation, and that's why I kind of thought about maybe just starting it as a one-on-one, small, where you feel comfortable.
Right.
Trying to get you to step out of your comfort zone, and then the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with being uncomfortable. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. So
I
how would
like
you?
that.
So how would you go about stepping out of your comfort zone?
Just being honest with myself. I mean, if I asked about a topic, how does that make me feel? And not follow up with, well, I don't know, how does that make you feel? And then going with that, but actually taking time and thinking how I truly feel about it.
Okay.
So I like that saying. I'll have to use that.
Okay. So I think our next step would that be the next meeting. You bring one topic to the table that you would like to challenge me about. Anything work related, but anything that you want that you're not comfortable with, that you want to bring to my attention, and we'll just sit here and talk through it.
Cool.
And just don't be afraid to push me. And I know that you're very nice and caring, and I won't take offense to it. I've been called worse names before, so I won't take offense to it. But I think that really help you. And I think we just continue to do this until you do feel comfortable stepping out of that uncomfortable zone.
Awesome.
So,
Well, I appreciate you taking time and going through this with me.
no problem. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. See ya.
How's it going?
I'm good. How about yourself, Eric?
Good. And I just want to chat for you a little bit. I'm a little frustrated right now. I feel like our coaches aren't communicating with us, and I really think it's affecting our recruitment goals. I've noticed I've lost a few students because of the lack of communication. So for us to really hit our goals, I think we need to really figure something out.
I can understand, and I've sensed some frustration on your part in some previous meetings. Can you give me some examples, maybe, so we can look and dive into this a little bit deeper?
So kind of the most recent would be when coaches are holding financial aid packages from going out. Those students really want to see their bottom dollar, and I tell them that financial aid's coming, but the coach holds it, and I don't know that. So it makes me look bad that I'm just sitting here and saying it's coming, but coaches haven't, they don't tell us that they held it. So it really just shows that we don't communicate, and it shows to the student.
Sure.
It's really affecting.
And I can see that you feel like it probably impacts your relationship with the student,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you would really like to resolve today. Is that right?
Yep.
So how about we talk about some past scenarios? how we feel like we could have communicated better or improved those situations. And then let's talk about a plan to make contact maybe with some coaches or the head coach to see if we can start communication to increase communication better.
Okay.
Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah, it's not necessarily just one coach,
Okay.
it's all of them.
Okay.
So it's something I feel like we need to approach the whole athletic department with, and not necessarily just one coach.
Okay, that's fair. What would be your overall goal for this conversation?
To set something in place that I can go to, as a department, we can go to the coaches and say, okay, this is stuff you need to start communicating to us, and this is the way you should communicate it to us.
Okay.
Like or the medium of communication, and the topics that they should be communicating.
So do you think it'd be helpful if we create, a draft of these are what our goals are, we want to work with you, we are really in this program together, and that way everybody can follow that after everyone, we presented and talked through everybody. Does that sound like a plan that you would get on board with?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So let's start by telling me what's working well right now for you and our athletic department.
I think we do a very nice job of just knowing who's interested in sports, in their sport, because we get so many students into the system and so many students interested every year. We do a really good job of saying, okay, these students are interested, not necessarily telling them how to do their job, but just getting them the leads, really letting them do their thing. And I know they appreciate that we're not saying, hey, this is how you should be, recruiting a student, but we do a nice job of getting those leads to them.
So that those leads, that communication is initiated by you, yourself, or your peers going to coaches, correct? Coaches aren't coming to you. We're going to the athletic department. Once we know we have students interested.
Yeah, we do a nice job of putting a lot of stuff into the database. We've done training with them as showing them how to go get that information from the database. But then if we just have any like one-offs, then we do a good job of just emailing information over to them.
Well, I'm glad to hear there are some things going well. So the challenge, it sounds like, is really communication. Are there additional things?
I think it's just communication.
Okay. Which definitely is going to impact our relationships probably, not only with students, but that department as well. So let's dive into that. What impact is this having on you? You mentioned recruitment earlier. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so being a small school, every student counts. If I say I lose 1 or 2 students and then another coworker loses 1 or 2, I mean there goes 5 students. That's, every student pays between 10 to 12,000.
Sure.
That's $100,000 that we just lost as an institution in tuition revenue. So, if you look at it from a business perspective, it's a lot of money, and that's just for 1 year. We really want to keep students for 4 years. So, really, we're really losing close to $500,000 of tuition revenue by just losing a few students here and there. So, I feel like if we can really hone this down, we can, really help our budget.
Absolutely. That's a major consequence of loss of financial revenue. What other consequences does this impact our university if this continues, if we don't make improvements?
Other impacts, I think just overall enrollment. If we're not bringing in a steady enrollment every year, just that obviously doesn't do as well, and that means faculty won't have students to teach, which means that then their jobs are into question too.
Sure.
So we got to keep butts in seats, so that way faculty have seats to go to and teach students. So
okay. I know our goal is to improve communication, but what would you like to see happen between our departments, or between athletics and us?
I would just want them to communicate when they know something about a student. There's a lot of times when it comes to student athlete recruiting, they'll tell more to the coach than they do us. So then it makes it hard for me to really know what their next step is, because I don't know where they're at in the process. So if a coach learns something about the student's fully committed, or it's money that we need to really hone in on, they just don't communicate that to us, and so it's really hard for me to work with them to bring in that student. They just kind of feel like they just do it all themselves, which they don't always have the accurate information to do it. So if they let us do our job of taking care of all that information, I think they're just being able to tell us the new information about students, really.
Okay. So improving communication is really kind of hard to nail down. It's like throwing jello at a tree. elementary.
Yep.
So what approaches would you like to take for us to improve communications both sides?
Mhm. I think just something that we could do immediately, just kind of right off the bat, is since we are sending out financial aid packages basically every other week right now, if they do want to hold a student, that they let us know that as well. Because in that way, because a lot of times parents will call us first to say, hey, where's my financial aid package? And we're like, oh, you're on the list to go out. You should be receiving it next week. But then you put it on hold. The coaches put it on hold, and then I look bad in front of mom and dad.
Okay.
And we actually have lost a few students because of that. And so I think just letting us know that they are holding a key piece of information for the student to make a decision, that we know that.
Okay. Are you sharing that concern and frustration with coaches right now? Do you feel like you've voiced that?
There's a few of them that have burnt me a couple of times already, and they do know. I have reached out to them via email, which it's tough for me to do much other communication because their schedules are so weird that it's not like they're just sitting in the office that I can just sit there and call them. So I do have to rely on a lot of emails with them, or texting, just because I know I can't always just pick up and talk to them.
Sure. And I understand that they have difficult and sometimes challenging schedules, and so that's something I'm going to ask of the athletic director, that we make some changes that we both can work together with.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if we have a weekly check-in by phone or meeting in person, that would eliminate any of this?
I think just a lot of it is just maybe not even a weekly. I could go even every couple weeks of just an update on their kids.
Okay.
And just kind of, a lot of times a kid will tell them that they're not interested and they don't tell us that, and so I still spend all this time calling and texting the student when they've already told us that they're not interested. So I think just a kind of a week, or not necessarily weekly, but just a current update of, okay, this student, these are the kids I'm still talking to, these ones told me no, and so we can keep moving forward.
I'm going to make a suggestion that we do something regularly instead of just, hey, keep me updated, because that way we can hold people accountable if we say, bi-weekly. If it's been 3 weeks and we've not heard from anyone, then we can say, well, we agreed on, bi-weekly. So does that sound okay to you if I would make that recommendation?
I'd even be okay with once a month.
That gives you enough time?
Yeah, because it takes a while to build up these relationships, and there's so many students that it's really tough to, hone in or build that relationship, so maybe it does take a few phone calls before they open up to you. So I'm not trying to put more work on them, but I think just a monthly update of who they're recruiting, where they're at in the process would be huge.
What else would help you in this area?
As far as like the communication part of it?
Yep.
I think it's just to continue to build that relationship with coaches too. So they trust me to do what I do, and that they can rely on me when they need help. And if I do need to go see a student for them, they feel comfortable for me doing that.
And what approaches can you take so you do continue to build those relationships together?
Some of the stuff I've been doing is just when I see them out and about on campus, I usually try to stop and just chat with them.
Great.
Just about how their season's going, or if they're not in season, just kind of how's life kind of thing, how's the recruiting going, that kind of, if they have any questions. Just trying to show them that I do know what I'm doing, and just trying to show that confidence.
Sure. And you also made mention that you refer students to them, when they show that they're interested. So you have that bridge of communication as well. You're sharing students, you're saying, hey, this person is interested in your sport, interested in our university. I would maybe, say, hey, let's work together on this, just add that, language a little bit, I think might help build that relationship as well.
Okay.
What do you see as major barriers to this success plan?
The stubbornness of the coaches. There's a lot of them that have been here for a while, so like 10, 12, 13 years. So they're used to their old ways, and as technology improves, they don't improve with it. So I think just their stubbornness of, this is how I do it, my notes make sense, you don't need to know my notes, doesn't work anymore.
That is a challenge. Do you think it would be helpful if you put a scenario together, in the last 6 months, these are the students that I, as one notes over, can I talk to you about something that's really bothering me?
Yeah, sure.
I'm so frustrated with the lack of communication that happens outside other departments. I feel that work is being duplicated sometimes because we don't know what other projects people are working on. It makes me sometimes feel unknowledgeable about what's going on in our organization. And sometimes it just doesn't make me feel like I'm part of a team.
Okay, so your main frustration is with the siloed effect within your organization and all the departments not communicating with each other?
Exactly.
Okay. What do you think you want to get out of this conversation regarding that?
I think just maybe your experience or some ideas that you have on how to increase communication amongst teams would really be beneficial.
Okay. Where would you like to start with that? Where do you think is the best place to dive in?
I think I could actually my own team. So my team has two subgroups. It has a leadership team and then it has an extended leadership team. And there seems to be like a breakdown between the two teams. For example, I was going to send an agenda for a meeting and I asked everybody for agenda items. And one of my peers on the other team said, should we talk about this new lab that we're going to offer? I had no idea about this lab that was going to start coming, that we were going to start offering. And so I felt like that's something that was my program. It's something that I run. I should have been in the loop about that. So that's an example of, where I think we need to start.
Yeah, I can see your frustration feeling out of the loop. I definitely don't like that either. So within your own department, you said you have two levels or two different
Mm-hmm.
groups that don't communicate with each other necessarily as often as you'd like.
Correct.
Okay. So do you think you can work on your internal department communication before you work on those other departments?
I think that would be a good place to start.
Okay, is that a focus on this conversation, or do you want to talk about the other departments?
No, let's
today?
start internal.
Okay, I think that's a great idea. So what is the importance of this communication between those two groups to the organization?
Well, it's for health services and we're the biggest part of the entire organization. So if we don't have our stuff together, it really reflects negatively on the largest part of the corporation or the organization. And then I think just trickles down from there. So professionalism, keeping people in the loop and what our actions really are.
Okay, so you described some things that are happening, maybe duplicating work or people not being informed when you have new items rolling out, and that can create, like I said, duplicity, and nobody wants that. So what opportunities do you see from bringing more communication into these two groups?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it would streamline our work. Everybody complains that they don't have time to do things, but if our time's not being managed well, because two of us might be working on the same project, it would give us time back if we know that we can talk through that project, what our goals are, who's responsible for what, instead of coming to a meeting and saying, oh, I'm working on that too. So I think that would be helpful.
Okay. What other opportunities might there be when it comes to these two groups communicating at a high level?
I think the impact would be bigger than us, actually. I think it would build relationships, not only internally, but within the whole health clinics.
I think that's a great observation. I think if you can work side by side with those two groups within your department, that might carry into relationships in other departments, which will maybe trickle.
I agree.
That's a great opportunity we have here. What kind of risks do you see occurring if the communication remains the same as it currently is?
Upset staff, turnover, burnout,
Right.
Mismanagement of time, all of those things will contribute, and can occur if this doesn't improve.
Okay, yes, so this is a big deal in the grand scheme of things for the whole organization and the department itself. So what kinds of ways do you think you can implement communicating between the two groups more often?
I don't know. do you think it would be possible to attend each other's meetings?
I think so. It'll be hard because, like you said, everyone's pressed for time, and
Very
maybe
true.
not everyone's in the same area or office. But do you think there's a way that you could offer a virtual meeting?
Yeah, that's a possibility. And then I guess if that doesn't happen, we could at least share minutes of our meetings with each other.
Absolutely, great idea. What's another way that you guys could streamline some of the things that you do that you might duplicate, or
Possibly like a working task list on our public drive that everyone would have access to. So you could list the projects that you're working on, and you would be aware of what everyone was working on. And possibly a timeline so everybody knew
Yeah.
what expectations were.
do you think there's a barrier to that? Do you think it would be utilized to the fullest?
The barriers I see to get started would be time, just developing that spreadsheet, but I could talk to our admin assistant to see if she could help me. And then I think just getting in the habit of using it, so sending out reminders, putting things on Outlook, like every Monday, update the task list.
Okay. Do you have some major players in mind, some cheerleaders from each of the two groups that would help spark this into reality?
I think so. I would definitely take the lead for the leadership team, and then I could ask either for a volunteer or approach someone on the other team to see if they could join me.
Okay, I think that'd be a great way to start. And then once you have buy-in from members on each side, that will really help the groups come together.
That's a good idea.
How can you start doing these things this week?
I think maybe I'll send an email to the other team and say what my thoughts are, that we talked and this is what I would like to do, because maybe somebody else has ideas as well. And then I really like the task list, so I'm going to approach our admin assistant, Sarah, this week to see if she can have a spreadsheet. Whoops! Spreadsheet to us by next Friday.
Okay, that's a great plan. When you get a volunteer from that other group, what if no one volunteers?
Then I will approach someone
Okay.
and just say, hey, it's been a couple days, I haven't heard anything. I'd really like your help on this, just so we can continue to build our team and make it stronger. These are the things that I, think will benefit us.
Right, and I think there's got to be someone else that has the same feelings you do. So hopefully finding someone that is as passionate about this as you are would be a great asset. So do you think you want to start this week? I think you want to get an email to put together.
Yep.
When would you send that out?
Let's see, it's Tuesday. I'll have it out by Thursday.
Okay. And you said your admin would maybe get out a spreadsheet.
Yes, I'll see if a week's enough time for her. I know she's got a lot on her plate right now.
Okay.
So if that doesn't fit for her, I'll ask her to maybe just set up the skeleton of it, and I'll put in the labels and stuff like that.
Is there anything I can do to help?
I think just support me, because I'm gonna guess a couple team members will come to you and either be happy about this or not. So just really saying what the benefits will be if we really improve communication.
Sure. I can be there for you.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Hey, do you have a second? I want to talk to you about something.
Sure, Chelsea, anything for you.
Great. Well, I know I struggle in some of my interpersonal relationship skills. Remember we took that EQ assessment?
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of my weakest skills, and I think I want to improve it and get it up to par with the rest of them.
Okay. So what do you think is probably the hardest part of your communication skills?
When it comes to making conversations with others, with clients and customers, I get stuck. I can't make small talk with them very well. I can with my friends and coworkers, but when it comes to people I don't know very well, I have a hard time engaging a conversation or initiating a conversation.
And what do you think is the reason for that, behind that?
I think it takes me a while to find things in common with people so that I know where I can talk to them about certain topics. And when it's clients and customers that I'm just meeting for the first or second time, I don't have that relationship set.
Okay, so for building rapport purposes, you want to try to learn how to better just talk about anything. Is that what I'm understanding correct?
Yeah, I
So
wanna,
that you can
yep.
get that rapport built a little bit
yeah, I
better?
want to build those relationships, especially with our clients. It's a big focus at our bank, to make those personal relationships and connections,
Mhm.
so that the customers feel like they can trust us, and we're not just a body behind a desk, but we're their friend.
Sure.
Yeah.
And when you're talking to some of your clients, you know, I know it's hard because some of them are farmers and some of them, you know, are corporate people. Do you ever, you know, look to see where it is that their employer is so that you can start from there maybe?
I don't.
Okay. Well, let's start here. What would you like to accomplish by this conversation?
Oh, I think I just like some strategy on how to talk to, initiate conversations, I think,
Okay.
with some of our clients.
And who do you think would have a problem with you just talking about anything? Is it you personally, or do you think it's that you have to be professional all the time and you can't chit-chat?
Well, I mean, currently my conversations revolve around the weather.
Good.
And I personally think that's a very surface level conversation. It doesn't dive deep into any one person or learn something new about them that I didn't already know, and vice versa. They don't get to know me that way. So I'm getting bored of talking about the weather.
Right, I can understand that, especially here in Iowa. It's just dismal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, have you tried thinking about, from their point of view, what you might, if you were them, what you'd want them to ask you?
I haven't started there. That's a great thought, to put myself in their shoes. Maybe asking about their kids or things that they're passionate about.
Right.
I
And then
mean,
that would spur a conversation, so that's
Mhm.
something that you, oh yeah, I like that.
yeah, that's a great idea. I should well, I'd have to know if they have kids, and or like some of them are farmers, and I know that, so maybe talk about their farm,
Their most
and,
recent
things
combine,
that,
or
yeah, things that they're most passionate about.
the field that they're planting next, or something.
Yeah.
I know when I was going to school, I really found it fascinating that a lot of farmers burn their fields after they're done harvesting.
Oh.
And so that makes the soil darker. And not that you need to know that, but
But that's
it could
an
be
idea
a
I could
starter,
talk
you know,
about, yeah.
exactly. So what have you tried already that's been working well?
The weather,
Okay,
but I don't know that it's working well, at
Okay.
least in my perspective. Maybe it is on their end, but maybe some other things I do well is I like emailing. I don't really like face-to-face conversations,
okay,
or phone calls. It's hard for me to read someone's reaction on a phone call,
sure.
even more so on an email, but I prefer emails over phone calls. So I'm good with those things, and I think I need more help with the face-to-face.
Okay. And what impact is that having on you? I mean, because when you send out an email, you say you can't hear, you don't see their reaction to it or whatever. So how do you know how they feel about what you've said in that email?
And sometimes you can kind of tell when people say, like, hope you had a great weekend, I know we did, and then they say something that they did the weekend, and I'll respond in a way that has equally the amount of personal touch to it.
Okay. And why do you find that difficult to do face to face?
I don't like giving out a lot of personal information, but to establish the relationship that we're striving for, we need to have that relationship with our customers and get to know them.
Okay. So what I understand, because I hope you don't mind me sharing, but I'm very much the opposite of you. I can talk about anything to anybody. I can sell ice to an igloo, or include however that expression goes. But I tend to think that verbal communication is a lot easier than written communication, simply for the fact that I can see you. If you don't like something that I'm saying to you, if you furrow your face at me or what have you, then I know, okay, take a step back and figure out a different way to say it. Whereas if it's just written, you don't know how I'm writing it. So I would present to you and to ask you to step outside your comfort zone. You know, look outside the box,
Okay.
and what is something we can work on together in order to help you to develop this skill. I mean, do you think you want to try, you know, sometime working with me directly in developing this, or do you want to, you know, see how it goes with your clients the next couple days, or how do you want to see this?
I think I'd be comfortable with some role playing with you and maybe some other people I'm comfortable with.
Awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, what barriers do you see from that?
A barrier would be like I already know you and I already know the people I'm talking to, so having those conversations to get to know you, even though I already know you, would be kind of hard.
Okay.
And maybe the person I'm role playing with doesn't do a good job.
Okay. Doesn't do a good job how? In sharing, or?
Yeah, in the reciprocity of the conversation. Maybe I'm afraid I wouldn't get as much out of it because it's not a new relationship that I'm establishing.
Okay, I can see that. That's fair. Okay, so when I think about this, I tend to want to try to just push you a little bit more outside your comfort zone.
Okay.
So what other things do you think we can do to try to help you develop this?
Maybe I could just practice some different small talk conversations with people I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe like the cashier at the grocery store.
That would be a good start. But how would you know how they felt about that? I mean, how would that give you like a rating scale of how you're doing?
I think just improving my comfort level and initiating those conversations.
Very
And like
good.
the more practice you have, like the more comfortable you are doing it, the better you get.
Okay.
So I think I just need to increase the like number of times that I'm doing that, so that when I am in a client conversation, it won't feel so uncomfortable.
Okay. And when you buy gas, do you just put your card in at the pump, or do you go in and pay for it?
I pay outside.
You pay outside. Okay. Well, go in next time, buy a soda, and talk to the cashier there too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think.
Just every opportunity you have, that you find somebody that you can talk to.
Right, and I guess with that, there's no. I won't be nervous that we are establishing a bad relationship like a client. Like they might not be happy with me for some reason. Whereas if it's a stranger at the grocery store, like I'm not probably gonna run into them.
Probably true too. Very good. So, what is going to be the hardest part for you to try to focus in on this?
I think, like you were hinting at before, maybe measuring the progress. It'll be hard to measure my comfort.
Okay. But I mean, practice makes perfect, right?
Yes.
The old adage. And what can I do to help you out?
Well, like I said before, maybe we could do some role playing and see how
Mhm.
that goes, and then I think just hold me accountable, check in, and make sure I'm having those candid conversations with strangers and working on that client face to face.
I'd be happy to help with that.
Okay.
And then what else can I do?
Maybe if you invite me to lunch with a new client, then I could watch how you interact with them and kind of learn from
Okay.
you.
Well, you're always welcome to come to lunch with me. But I was thinking, like, if I see you with a guest or client, then I can come up behind you and just start a chit chat session. Would
Okay.
that work for you? Or I mean,
That would
I
be
wouldn't want
helpful
you to
too.
shy away and think I'm taking over your transaction.
Well, I think that we've established that this is something I want to work on. So if
Absolutely.
you were to come up and help with the conversation, you and I would both know that I need to not just step back and let you take over, but I could get involved too.
Excellent, and jump right in. Awesome. Well, do you want to meet again tomorrow and I'll see when you go in, or do you want to try it out a little bit on your own first, or what time frame would you like to work on this?
Okay. Well, how about today's Tuesday? Maybe I have to go to the grocery store tomorrow. I'm gonna really try to do that
Okay.
stranger's thing. Maybe even someone that's just helping in the aisle and the cashier.
Oh, well, there you go.
And then on Friday, I could do some role playing with you and let you know how I'm progressing.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like we've got a strategy going on. We'll get it going. Make
Okay.
it happen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chelsea. My self-awareness EQ score, please.
Just the self-awareness part.
Yes.
Oh God.
I know, too, that's tough. Oh, sorry.
Hello. Are you ready?
What actions do you want to take to start maybe coming up with? I skipped a step. Can we pause?